every aspect of our lives, from our children to our careers to our system of justice. What you're about to see may seem blatantly unfair or even outrageous, but as John Stossel discovered, it's simply the way we are.
Someday, when I'm awfully low, when the world is cold.
Michelle's an actress. We brought her to downtown Atlanta, emptied the gas tank of this car, raised the hood, and asked her to stand next to it, looking like she needed help.
You look tonight.
We watched with a hidden camera in a van. Would a good Samaritan stop to help her? Most cars just went whizzing by.
No, it just...
Just died on you?
Yeah.
A few
yeah,
pedestrians did stop, but they only made suggestions as to how she could go for help.
There's a PHP station right up at this corner.
Oh, is there really?
Yeah, on Peach Street.
No one offered to bring her gasoline.
Let's go right up this street here.
Okay.
If I can give you a tank of gas, okay?
Okay, thanks a lot.
Then we ask another actress, Tracy, to try it.
Hey, yeah, I don't know what...
Wore the same outfit.
That's what I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Something, last time I had it, turn it over.
Cars came screeching to a halt. Others backed up, pulled over, one after the other. In the short time we were out here, more than a dozen people stopped to help Tracy.
Oh! You got that? Okay, cool, thank you. And how much was that?
Oh, nothing. I figured I could feed for the day.
6 people ran to get Tracy gas, and her tank ended up half full. It was 45 minutes before 2 people finally offered to bring Michelle some gas. If your car breaks down, I hope you're good looking. She's got the love. Okay, maybe these were men who wanted to flirt with Tracy. Would looks make a difference if the subject were more serious, something more important, like getting a job? Both these men are about to apply for a job. The clearest difference between them, as you may notice, the man on the right is better looking. Will that make a difference in how he's treated? More importantly, will he be more likely to get a job? Or will she, when these 2 women do a similar test? We hired Tom Cash to help us run our experiment. Cash is a psychologist at Old Dominion University who's studied looks and their effects for the past 20 years. He helped us hire these actors, who we paired into teams based on similar education and work experience. Cash then spent hours training them so their behavior would match during the interview. Our goal was to make them identical except for their looks. Before we sent them out, we had a makeup artist exaggerate the difference. She touched up the lookers and, well, with the others, added some blemishes and put bags under their eyes. Then we sent them out in matching outfits. At this business, Danya, the more attractive tester, applied for a secretarial job.
How you pronounce your name? Danya.
Danya.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go back here, Danya.
Great, thank
We
you.
used hidden cameras to tape these tests because interviewers obviously would behave differently if they knew they were on TV.
Okay.
Later, we asked the interviewers permission to show their faces. We've digitized the faces of those who said no. Still, even without seeing this man's face, you can hear the warmth in his voice as he talks to Danya.
But I guess it's just me right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, looking for somebody that we like to have a good time at the same time with.
Then we sent Amy in for the same job. The interviewer says roughly the same things, but his tone is less friendly. He tells her about the lunch break.
Monday through Friday with a 45-minute lunch break.
But with the good-looking Danya, the lunch break is just more flexible.
Company policy's 45 minutes, but, you know, we're not real strict around here on that kind of stuff.
He told Danya things looked good.
That you're definitely in the lead right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He later offered her the job. He never even called Amy back. We ran a similar test using Mike and the especially good-looking Mark. Would looks make less of a difference when the interviewers were judging men? Apparently not. On the first interview for a sales job, the interviewer told Mike he'd call him later.
So let me confirm some phone numbers so when I review all the interviews, I can make some decisions.
He never called. With Mark, the interviewer was eager to have him return for a tryout day.
Is tomorrow available?
The same thing happened at the next interview. The interviewer told Mike he'd call him back the next week. But again, he didn't call. With the handsome Mark, the interviewer wanted him back immediately.
Given the chance, Mark, would you be available for dinner with that?
Sure.
Tomorrow.
This happened again and again. And it's not surprising, because this was just a real-world test of something that's already been studied more scientifically. On those tests, they show employers photos and written resumes. The results are the same. The lookers get more jobs. It's interesting to eavesdrop and hear how it happened. Maybe a woman would be less affected by Danya's looks. I guess not.
We both like you a lot.
Oh, great.
And we're interested at bringing you on.
Okay.
She even offered Danya a job as her assistant manager.
Yeah. I mean, you have a great attitude and you have the look, you know.
She has the look. Well, at least they were honest. And you could argue it makes sense to hire for looks if you're hiring to sell looks, say if you're hiring for a makeup counter. But most of the jobs our testers applied for were not high-visibility jobs.
You take dictation?
Yes.
At this company, the interviewer was looking for a receptionist. When Amy, our ordinary-looking applicant, went in, he was very impressed with her typing skills.
50 words per minute.
Neat. Please pardon me if I act shot, but that's the fastest typist I've interviewed.
In the meantime, we sent Danya in. She was a hit from the beginning. Look at his smile.
Already. I got good feedback from you already.
Her future at the company would be bright.
I promise you, if there was ever a way to promote you in this company, I will pull every string I possibly can.
Well, thank you. Sounds good.
He didn't talk to Danya about her typing skills. He just offered her the job. And how much would they pay? He told Amy the salary range was $16,000 to $18,000. But Danya, it seems, was worth the maximum. He whispers it to her.
Would you cancel the interview if I made your offer right now?
Yeah.
I got to offer you $10,000 a year to start.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. And grow and challenge.
Of all the employers we sent the women to, Carl Wheat of Silver Ridge Software in Atlanta and his boss, company president Greg Richter, were the only ones who agreed to be interviewed.
We tested you. We sent in 2 women. You said to the less attractive woman, wow, you're the fastest typist we've seen. And you were pretty enthusiastic about her until you saw the good-looking woman, and then you offered her the job.
There was one lady I remember with dictation skills, and that floored me. That knocked me off my chair.
So why did you pick the one over the other?
The one that I really chose to back, number one, she had done the job on multiple, or 2 other opportunities, if I'm thinking of the right lady.
It wasn't that she was good-looking.
No.
Didn't influence you at all?
No.
When we brought in our testers, he told us that he preferred Danya's voice.
Donna basically sold herself on the telephone because of her voice.
Not her good looks?
No, it was her voice and her persistence. And
But Amy must have a pretty good voice, because she even has her own radio program. Danya doesn't.
Going smooth sound with no nonsense.
I should point out that Amy has a radio show, so she must have a good voice, too.
No offense to you, Amy, I'm sorry. There are people with a more soothing phone voice than others.
Familiar with the concept good, better, best? We go good, better, and hope you can find best.
A lot of the hirers denied it. So are they lying to us, or are they fooling themselves?
It's a non-conscious process. They assume that more attractive people have an array of valued characteristics.
Why?
Because of this sort of halo. Everything looks good, or everything must be good in this great package.
Of course, in our test, looks clearly did make a difference. In some cases, both Danya and Amy were called back for second interviews, but whenever the employer made a choice, 5 times out of 5, Danya was chosen over Amy. Studies also show looks can do more than help you get a job. Good-looking people earn more money, 12% more, according to a study published last fall by researchers at the University of Texas and Michigan State. For every $20,000 a less attractive person made, the good-looking person averaged $22,000. And surprisingly, the difference was larger for men than for women. On our test, good looks meant more jobs for Mark, 3 times out of 3. Here, Mark and Mike went for a stockbroker job. Mike was out the door in 6 minutes. Then Mark went in.
We don't have like one of our low production guys train you.
Right.
We have the best train you.
They loved Mark. He was hardly in there 5 minutes when they gave him a tour.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm Tim.
Tim, Mark, name on.
Mark?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Listen to what this guy said.
Wait, it looks like a broker.
I'm hired, right?
There you go. That's your call, buddy.
They told Mark he'd make a lot of money.
You should be making $10,000 a month if you want.
Wow. Oh, okay.
20 minutes after Mark walked in the door, they had him fingerprinted. They told him, come back for training on Monday.
Okay,
Thank you.
We'll train you well, and we hope you do very well.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Of the interviewers who saw the men, only Lou Chambray agreed to be interviewed. Company Vice President Vince Chiara, who's in charge of hiring, joined him.
We sent 2 guys to you, and you were much nicer to the good-looking guy.
I probably know who it was, too.
Who was it?
It was a guy named Mark.
We then asked Mark and Mike to come in.
What did you say? He was more charming? He was more outgoing?
He had a better ability to make me believe that he was competent. That's what I'm saying.
What these studies have shown, right or wrong, is that when good-looking people come in, we think they're charming and outgoing. Is it possible that
It's in the
you
delivery.
just responded to his looks?
No, it's in the delivery.
Listening to Lou's interview with Mark, it's hard to understand how Mark's delivery had much to do with it, because Mark hardly spoke.
Yes, you know, and just not do it anymore.
Right.
And that's the important step.
Right.
Mostly he just said, right, yep, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys come in for 2 weeks at the office.
Okay.
I just answered yes and no and great, thank you, and yes, I need the job. And
When you're that good-looking, yes or no is enough.
I wouldn't go that far.
You know, you barely looked at his resume.
Well, the resume isn't as important as my evaluation.
You said to Mark, you look like a stockbroker.
Yeah, he does. That's what people think a stockbroker looks like. That's what they want to think a stockbroker looks like.
His boss was more candid.
You set the company's hiring policies. What about looks?
No question, absolutely. First impression is a lasting impression, and you never get a second chance to make that first impression, and it does carry a tremendous amount of weight, unfortunately, but it does.
It's kind of unfair.
Yes.
I think it's outrageous. I can't get over how people are so blatant about it.
How often this happens in the real workplace, we don't know, since most who benefit or are hurt never realize what happened. Our testers assumed they were getting equal treatment until they talked to their partners.
I had a similar experience where I would walk out and go, oh, I swear I've got this job. They said they were going to call me back. I felt confident about it. She would go in and she'd go, oh, I'm starting tomorrow morning. And I was like, wait a minute, what?
So what do you think about this?
I think it stinks.
And they're all pretty good looking, aren't they? So it certainly makes you wonder, where does this all begin? Are we taught to specifically value good looks, or is this just human nature? Surprising answers when John Stossel's report continues after this.
2020 continues. Once again, Hugh Downs.
We have seen the evidence, and it rankles. There is no doubt that having good looks can tip the balance in your favor, not only in the working world, but in everyday situations. But how did we ever get to this point? Where does this beauty bias begin, and where does it end? As John Stossel's report continues, you'll be amazed at the impact physical appearance can have on children, or in the courtroom, or even on your own generosity.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Say you walk by someone working for a charity. What would make you stop and contribute?
You couldn't be cuter, plus that you couldn't be smarter, plus that...
We took two actresses, Tracy and Michelle, to an Atlanta shopping mall. And with the help of Cure, a charity for childhood cancer, set them up at a table selling calendars and teddy bears to raise money. Tracy did seem to get some extra attention.
You're very pretty.
You think?
Bring them in.
Oh, God.
But we stayed several hours, and watching, there didn't seem to be much difference in what they sold.
We have calendars and teddy bears and pins.
Overall, it looked as if they were both doing well. Perhaps when it comes to something as important as charity, looks would matter. But then we counted the money. Michelle collected $60, Tracy $90, 50% more.
Good-looking girls like you to come sucker guys like us and give you money. I got you. No
You're
problem.
so sweet. Let me give you a pin.
Be cuter, baby, than you are.
Hello, my name is Miss A. Hello. Hello.
Where does it start, this preference for a certain look? Is it something we learn as adults, or are even children influenced? We hired actresses to play the role of a less and more attractive teacher. Again, with makeup, we exaggerated the difference.
Okay, good.
And with the help of the Union County, New Jersey Department of Education, we gathered a cross-section of first-grade students. We told the kids we wanted their opinion about some teachers. Which was the better teacher, Miss A or Miss B? First, each woman read the kids a chapter from a children's book. The more attractive actress, Debbie, played Miss A.
Toad, Toad, cried Frog. The sun is shining.
I do not wear a bathing suit, said Frog. Well, I do, said Toad.
Susan played Miss B.
Did Frog wear a bathing suit?
Then we asked some comparative questions. I had the kids write the answers down so they wouldn't be influenced by the other children.
Which teacher was nicer, Miss A or Miss B? Which teacher would you like to have as a substitute, A or B?
I also asked which teacher was smarter, which was easier to talk to. The vote was overwhelming.
Those of you who liked Miss A best, raise your hands. Those of you who liked Miss B best. Dimitri, why did you like Miss A?
She was nicer.
What made her nicer?
She looked smart.
She looked smart. How could you tell that she looked smart? How does someone look smart?
Because she talked good.
Somehow, the better-looking teacher was smarter, nicer, friendlier.
She, helped us learn better, and she cooperated with us.
What do you mean she cooperated with you?
Well, she listened to our questions.
To make sure it wasn't the stories the teachers read or the order in which they read them, we brought in 18 more first graders and reversed the process. The results were the same.
Teachers who look pretty are smart, and they look smart and are smart.
More frightening, say the experts, is the fact that research shows this affects teachers, too.
Teachers can really be biased in favor of the cute little kids.
Cash says the good-looking kids get more attention and sometimes a second chance.
A child commits some bad act, and teachers are asked, what should we do about this? Well, if Johnny or Mary happens to be good-looking, they say, maybe it was a bad day.
Why does this happen? Are we brainwashed as children by stories of the Wicked Witch and the mean, ugly stepsisters? Or is it the media? We see in magazines and on TV all these beautiful celebrities.
Oh, well, here it is.
And we in television news have been accused of hiring and firing broadcasters based on looks. On the other hand, might we be born with this preference?
In reality, it's probably a combination of things. It's probably both.
In studies like the one you see here, babies are shown pictures of faces, one more attractive than the other. Researchers find that the babies look longer at the more attractive face.
We know that infants at the age of 3 months respond to pretty faces. Infants at 12 months show withdrawal and aversive reactions to sort of homelier faces. Is anybody teaching them that? I don't think so.
Pretty and homely as defined by whom?
By adults.
And adults are surprisingly consistent about what we consider good-looking. Faces with classic features like big eyes, high cheekbones, and a narrow jaw. A recent study of women's looks in the journal Nature says people in Britain and Japan favor this same look. Other studies have found that blacks, whites, and people from different cultures agree. Even animals have definite preferences. Many are more likely to mate with the animal that has useless decorative features like the peacock with the most elaborate tail. The zebra finch and the scorpion fly are most likely to mate with partners that have the most symmetrical features. This finch with the symmetrical bands was preferred over that one.
All this would be interesting just as a psychological study if there weren't so much at stake. Not only do things like jobs, charity, and teacher preference seem to be affected by looks, but the way you look may even determine your freedom.
With this gun in his hand, he crept up to the counter where David Scott, the manager of the store, was working.
2020 staged a mock trial of a robbery case.
I want you to take a look around the courtroom and tell us if the man you saw with the gun in your store on that day is in court today?
Yes, he is.
The case rested on this victim's identification.
Would you kindly point him out, sir?
That man over there with the striped tie.
We ran the same trial twice. For one jury, this ordinary-looking actor played the defendant, John Andrews. For the other jury, this actor played John Andrews.
Cross-examine, Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
The defense lawyer claimed police arrested the wrong man, that Andrews just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
John Andrews was not the only person there.
No.
There were many other people.
Yes.
Both juries heard the same case, same prosecutor, the same defense, same witnesses, the same judge. The defendants themselves just sat there. Was the defendant guilty? This John Andrews was found guilty 9-8. This John Andrews was found innocent. His vote 12-5, not guilty. We were just doing an illustration of what researchers had done before. Those studies found attractive defendants were less likely to be convicted of a crime and more likely to receive lenient sentences. And that's consistent with what happened here.
He did not look what I would, in my mind, surmise as a criminal type.
Are the jurors aware of their bias? We'd asked them to answer some written questions about John Andrews. How would you describe him? The good-looking Andrews seemed to have all kinds of other good qualities. Jurors said he was reasonable, honest. He seemed to be a nice guy. Before we told the jurors what all this was about, I'd asked them about some of their conclusions. You said not guilty. Why?
Just from the evidence that was given in the court.
You also rated him highly intelligent, highly likable, and honest.
Just from appearance.
How can you tell from appearance?
I guess just the idea of the way he looked and the way he's dressed and his demeanor.
You wrote down, seems to be a nice guy. But how could you tell if he was nice?
It's just the way he was sitting there in his seat.
Here is the defendant you saw. We brought in both defendants. And maybe just by looking at them, you can figure out what this experiment was about. We had a group of jurors like you hearing the same case earlier today, but with a different defendant. And more of you said he was innocent than jurors said he was innocent.
Very interesting. Every person that I was conditioned to respect looks like that. My president looks like that. My president, I hope, is intelligent.
Is this a little scary?
Yes.
What does it mean? We have racism, sexism? What's this, lookism?
Yeah. Yes, you got it.
If I was up there, I'm sure most people, because of my looks, would think more guilty also. Because facial hair, longer hair, criminal type, quote unquote. And it's...
You better live a clean life.
Indicating the defendant, Your Honor.
Clearly, looks influence our judgment, as do race, age, sex. So next time you look at someone and think they're innocent or guilty, that they are smart or nice, maybe you should think again. Do you like having a pretty teacher?
Yeah.
Why?
If they're pretty, you know, they're smart.
You know, John, it's no surprise that good-looking people may have it easier. I think what is a surprise from this piece is the extent that it goes. You know? What was the result when we ran this last year? A lot of mail.
A lot of mail. It did strike a nerve. A lot of people wrote in saying, yes, I knew something like that had happened to me, but it was great to really see it happen. We also got mail from some women who said they were good-looking and they thought we hadn't told the full story. They had been hurt by their good looks because in business they said they weren't taken seriously. So that happens too.
That was never one of my problems. But this whole business of being, if you're good-looking, you're therefore smart. Did this alter your perception?
That's the part that fascinated me most, that what they call the halo effect, that you assume all these other qualities, that they talk better, that they're nicer. I hadn't thought about it before. I try now to think about it when I make judgments. It's hard to remember that.
Beauty is only skin deep. That may or may not be true. We should look a little deeper than the skin, huh?
Right.
Well, John, it was fascinating last year and just as interesting and provocative this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Search for the perfect partner.
The mating game is the most important game that we play.
Your dream lover, shaped in childhood.
She has to have good teeth. Perfect head. No big heads.
Then constantly pursued. Is monogamy a basic instinct? Or like the wild kingdom, are we born to stray?
I betrayed my wife.
Forgive me.
When do most partners cheat? We'll show you why things go wrong and how science can help save your relationship. How about marriage the way other cultures do it? Your parents